Hello everyone, I am Sarita Rawat, Assistant Professor, School of Pharmacy, Suresh Gyan Vihar University, Jaipur, Rajasthan. Today we will study about anti-helminthic drugs and this is your pharmacology lecture. Now, learning objective of today's lecture is first we will go through the introduction part, then types of worm infections, classification of anti-helminthic, pharmacology of anti-helminthic, drug of choice for various anti-helminthic. So, learning outcome of today's lecture included describe the understand and the infectious disease of helminthics and life cycle, morphology, significant classification and symptom of nematode, roundworms, flukes, and tapeworms. Now, also you are able to know about the classification of anti-helminthic drug. You are able to demonstrate the general mechanism of anti-helminthic drug, and you are able to know about the anti-helminthic drug that are available in the market. Now, coming to the introductory part, so helminths, also known as worm infections. It is worm infections is any microparasitic disease of the human and from the other animal in which a part of the body is infected with the parasitic worms such as known as helminths. So there are numerous species of these parasites which are broadly classified into tapeworms, flukes, and roundworms. So they can live in the gastrointestinal tract of the host, but they may also burrow into other organs. So where they include the physiological damage. Now, helminthiasis is prevent globally about 1/3 of worms per populations harbors them, but in more common in developing countries with poor personal or environmental hygiene. Now, causative organisms harm the host by developing him of food and depriving him as a food and causing the blood loss, injury to the organ, intestinal or lymphatic obstructions, and by scattering the toxin, by secreting the toxin in the humans. Now the overview of anti-helminthic. So what is predators? So predators are an organism that eats more than one other organism, that is animal. So during its life usually larger than prey. So that is they eat more than the person. Then the parasite. So parasite are an organism that lives at the expense of another person, another host. So which does not usually kill. Usually it is similar than the host. Then the parasitoid. So a parasite that kills its host usually similar than the host, that is called parasitoid. Then the kleptoparasite. So kleptoparasite is a thief parasite. So on that consume the food stored by the another insect in a nest. So it is smaller or similar size as a host and often closely related. Then the hyperparasite. So hyperparasite is a parasite of a parasite. So usually similar than the host. Now, as you can see in this diagram, we can see the parasite are usually much smaller than their host. So they also do not kill before they eat. So this is the overview of anti-helminthic and helminthic. So as you can see, this is the amoebasis, and then the we have chiliates, then sporozoa, So the helminthes comprise two major group of multicellular worms. So that involve from a common ancestor some 600 million years ago and diverse into two rather different groups. So the different groups are included the Nemehelminthes, that is nematodes, roundworms, and the flatworms. And the later group is subdivided into trimatodes, that is flukes, and the castodes, so that is tapeworms. Almost 250 species of helminthes have been found in the human, and most colonies are found in GI tract, gastrointestinal tract. Then helminthes have a complex life cycle, often involving several species. Infections by the helminthes may occur in many ways, and poor hygiene is a major contributory factor to grow the helminthes. Now, classification of helminthes, they are two phyla. So the first is nematode, that are roundworms. So they are intestinal nematodes. So which include roundworms and hookworms and pinworms, whipworms, threadworms, and antrobus. Then the another is tissue nematode. So that is Flera. So they are phylum like flatworms. Then the another class is flukes, tramatodes. So which include liver flukes and blood flukes and intestinal flukes. Now the next class is castodes. So castodes are the tapeworms. So they are beef tapeworms like Taenia saginata and pork tapeworms, Taenia solum. Now, as you can see, this is the table for infectious disease helminthic. So the camelandia that cause the Dicumulus madriensis, then the various other disease and the causative agent. And this is the another table. So you can see the bloodworm, for example, that is tracheoblasia. Then the liver flukes we have, then lung flukes we have, intestinal flukes we have. So they all are the flatworms. Now, when we talk about the nematodes, roundworm, so the nematodes are roundworm, constitute the phylum Nematoda. Nematode species can be different to distinguish, and although over 25,000 have been described, of which more than a half are parasitic. So total number of nematode species has been estimated to be about 1 million. So nematode had tubular digestive system and openings at the both end. So the fertilized female can lay about 2 lakhs egg per day. So eggs required oxygen and moisture to embryo. So this is the picture of a roundworm. Now the nematode comprise the two group of organisms that containing the largest number of helminthic parasite of the humans. Range is in size may are very different, very small, few millimeters, but some may be up to a meter in length. Then the largest nematode measure 9 meters long and 2.5 centimeter in diameter. So they found as parasite in a sperm whale's placenta. Then they are unsegmented, bilaterally symmetrical, and exhibit great variations in their life cycle. Generally, they are long-lived, 1 to 30 plus years. Some can have both free living and parasitic stages in their life cycle. So adult look like an earthworm, and the female is 20 to 35 centimeter. Male is about 12 to 30 centimeter, and they have three lips which carry mute teeth. Now, the next is Ascaris. So, Ascaris is most dangerous. They are made by identifying the appearance of the worm or egg in feces. So, as you can see in this picture, due to the large quantity of the eggs laid, physicians can diagnose using only one or two facial smears. Now, fecal smears. So now infections can be treated with the drug called asclarides. Now, the treatment of choice is mebendazole, and the drug functions by binding to the tubulin in the worm's intestine cell and body wall muscles. Netazonal, Natazozanidine and viramectin also can be used in this cases. Now, as you can see, this is the picture of Ascaris. So this is the female Ascaris, and this is the male Ascaris. So this is the posterior end, and this is the anterior end. Now, the Ascaris is the giant roundworm of the human, growing to a length of up to 35 centimeter. And it is one of the several species of Ascaris as Ascarid nematode of the phylum Nematoda, and it is the largest and the most common parasite worm in humans. So Ascaris lumbricoides, you can see its life cycle. So it enter into the male adult intestine, then it lay the egg passed in the stool, then mature in the soil, and then also re-enter into the human, and then this cycle is continued. Now, the next is hookworm. So, this is the picture of hookworm. So, this is the Ancylostomata, and this is the Uncinnaria. Now, the hookworm life cycle. So, they enter into the adult in the intestine, then the egg in the feces, enter in the feces, then it mature in the soil and develop into the flatiferum, and then also penetrate into the skin by a foot of the human, then go to the human again. So the larva break down into the alveoli of the lung of the human, and it also migrate up to the trachea and over the esophagus, and then also it enter into the intestine, then the cycle continues. So this is the pinworm. So this is the diagram of a pinworm. Pinworm life cycle. When we talk about the life cycle of pinworm, so the pinworm, also known as threadworms, in which United Kingdom and Australia, or it is known as setworm also. So it is a parasitic worm. So this is the life cycle of flatworm. Now, whipworm. So the next is whipworm. The human whipworm is a roundworm, and that cause the trichosis, which is one of the neglected topical disease when it infects a human large intestine. So it is commonly known as the whipworm, which refers to the shape of the worm. It looks like a whip. Then which window handles at the posterior end. So as you can see, now the symptom included bloody diarrhea, iron deficiency anemia, facial incontinency during sleep, and then rectal prolapse. Treatment included mebendazole taken by the mouth for 3 days in commonly prescribed is commonly prescribed when the infections cause symptom. Then albendazole may be sometime prescribed. Then as you can see, this is the whipworm, and this is the head of the whipworm and the tail. Then the next is Flera. So Flaria is basically the people with the disease can suffer from the lymphedema and the elephantitis. So and this is common in the man, and swelling of the scrotum called hydrocele and lymphatic flarosis is a leading cause of permanent disability worldwide. So the Flarodia are a superfamily of the nematodes, that is roundworms. So the member of the superfamily are known as flaral worm. So the infections with the parasite flaral worm cause flarosis. So the standard dose that are used for that is albendazole and aviractin. And also the surgery is followed. So it is the kingdom of Animalia and subkingdom of Eumentridae. So as you can see, so this is the Flaria. As you can see, the elephant leg, elephantitis. Now this is the life cycle of Flaria. So Flaria basically start from the mosquito, take a blood meal, then it enter to the adults in the lymphatic system. Then it also adult produce shielded microflaria that migrate into the lymph and the blood channels. Then it goes in the mosquito, and then all in the this is the whole life cycle. Then the next is Trichinella. So trichinosis is a parasitic disease that is caused by eating raw or uncooked pork or wild game that is infected with the larva of a species of roundworm, and it is commonly called the Trachnia worm. And there are 8 Trachinella species. So the symptom included diarrhea, abdominal cramps, and tiredness, muscle aches and pain, and high fever, swelling in the eye and face, eye infusions, and like conjunctivitis and the pink eye. Then also shown the symptom of rashes. Then the primary treatment for Trachinella is early administration of antihelminthics such as mebendazole and albendazole. Then the secondary treatment included after infections, steroids such as prednisolone may be used to relieve the muscle pain that is associated with larval migrations. Now as you can see, this is the Trachinella. The symptom, the allergic reactions you can see in this. Now the another is symptom of raw fish infection. So the raw fish infections symptom basically occur the eye and in eye and skin. It can cause jaundice. In liver, it can enlargement of the liver and tenderness Then in gastrointestinal, it can cause nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, abdominal pain, loss of appetite. Then in central nervous system, it can cause irritability, and in skin, it can cause tingling, numbness. Then it in heart, it can cause increased heart rate, and in muscular, it can cause weakness. And then coming to the treatment, antihelminthics. So antihelminthics are the drugs that either kill or expel the infecting helminthics. So those drugs which kill the helminthics, that are called vermicides, and which expel out the helminthics, that are called vermifuges. So the choice of the drug for each worm infection is based not only on the efficacy but also on the lack of side effects, toxicities, ease of administration, preferably single dose, and lowest cost. So the development and the resistance are not been a problem in the clinical use of antihelminthics. Now, the drug included in antihelminthics are the most commonly used antihelminthics drug are as follows: mebendazole, albendazole, tribendazole, pentapamoate, piperazine, diethyl carbamazine citrate, levermectin. Then, as you can see, this is the chart for antihelminthic drug. So, chemotherapy of antihelminthic infections for nematodes, roundworm. So, we can mostly use mebendazole and thiabendazole. Then we have parental pamoids. Then diethylene carbamazine. Then for the flukes and leaf-size flatworms, we use paraziquintel. Then for the tapeworm, we can use albendazole and niclosamide. So coming to the most preferable drug, mebendazole, it is a benzimidazole introduced in the 1972, and this this is the congener of thiabendazole that become very popular because it retained the broad spectrum antihelminthic activity but not the toxicity of its predecessors, and it has produced nearly 100% cure rate and reduction in the egg count in the roundworm, hookworm, both species. So, the immobilizing the lethal action of mebendazole on worms is rather slow. It takes 2 to 3 days to develop. Now, mebendazole, a systemic benzimidazole compound, and is effective against a wide spectrum of nematodes. So, it is a drug of choice in the treatment of infections by the whipworm and pinworm and the hookworm and roundworm. Now, mebendazole acts by binding to and interfering with the assembly of the parasites, microtubules, and also by the descending glucose uptake, affecting parasites are expelled with the feces. When we talk about the mode of actions of mebendazole, so the site of actions of mebendazole in the microtubular protein B tubulin of the parasites. It binds to the B tubulins of the susceptible worms with high affinity and inhibit its polymerizations. Intracellular microtubules in the cell of the worm are gradually lost. So, in addition, it probably blocks the glucose uptake in the parasites and depletes its glycogen storage. When we talk about this pharmacokinetics, so absorption of the mebendazole from intestine is minimal, 75 to 90% of an oral dose is passed in the feces, and the fraction absorbed is excreted mainly as inactive metabolite in urine and feces. Adverse effects included diarrhea, nausea, and abdominal pain. So they have attained its use in heavy infections, allergic reactions, loss of hair, and granulocitropenia, and they have been reported with the high dose. Now, albendazole, the next common drug that are most widely used is albendazole. So it is subsequently introduced congenial of the mebendazole, and it retains the broad spectrum activity and excellent tolerability of its precursor, and has the advantage of the single dose administration in many infections. And one dose treatment has produced cure rate in the ascaris and hookworm, both species, and introbiases which are comparable to the 3-day treatment with the mebendazole. Now, when we talk about its spectrum, it is a broad spectrum and drug of choice for the treatment of hydrated disease and cystis seriosus. So, it is used for the treatment of intestinal nematodes. For example, ascariasis, trichuriasis, and strong lidosis, and pinworm and hookworm. So it inhibits the microtubule synthesis that irreversibly impairs glucose uptake, and intestinal parasites are immobilized and die slowly. Then it has a action of larvicidal, so hydride in hookworms infections. Then it has ovicides activity also in hookworms and trichuriasis. Now, its primary therapeutic applications, however, is in the treatment of castridal infections and such as castridiosis that is caused by the Taenia solium, and hydrated disease that are caused by Echinococcus granulus. Albendazole is erratically absorbed, and after oral absorptions absorption is enhanced by a high fat meal. Albendazole and its metabolites are primarily excreted in urine. Adverse effects included mild and transistence, which include headache, nausea, and also the parasites in the CNS, including headache, vomiting, hyperthermia, convulsions, and mental changes. The drug should be given during the pregnancy or to the children under 2 years of age. The drug is not given to the pregnant women and the children which are under the age of 2 years. So when we talk about the action, so the mechanism of action of albendazole is similar to the mebendazole, and the pharmacokinetics included it absorption of the albendazole after oral administrations is significant but inconstant, and it is enhanced when the drug is taken with the fatty meal, and the fractions absorbed is converted by the fast pass metabolism to its sulfoxide metabolite, which has potent antihelminthic actions. Now, Albendazole sulfoxide is widely distributed in the body that enters in the brain and is excreted in the urine with a T-half of 8.5 hours and exert antihelminthic activity in tissue as well. When we talk about its adverse effect, so gastrointestinal side effect is dizziness, prolonged use and cause headache, fever, alopecia, jaundice and neutropenia. Now, next drug is thiabendazole. So thiabendazole, it was the first benzenamide and polyantihelminthic introduced in 1961, which covered partially all species of nematodes, interfering infesting the GIT, roundworms, hookworms, pinworms. The mode of action of thiabendazole include it also inhibits the development of the egg of worms and kill the larvae. It has anti-inflammatory action as well. Pharmacokinetics of thiabendazole include, since thiabendazole is a well absorbed from GIT tract, systemic adverse effects are common. Now, the adverse effect included nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, diarrhea, glidiness, impairment of the alertness, itching, etc. They are the most common symptoms or side effects of thiabendazole. Now, the next we have pyrantel pamuate. So, it was introduced in 1969 for the pinworm infections in children and used soon extended to the roundworm and hookworm as well. Efficacy against Ascaris, Enterobius, and Ancylostoma is high and comparable to that of mebendazole. Mode of actions included activations of nicotinic cholinergic receptors in the worm, resulting in persistence depolarizations, slowly developing contracture and the septic paralysis. Worm are then expelled out from the body. When we talk about this pharmacokinetics, so only 10 to 15% of an oral dose of the pyrantel pamuate is absorbed, and this is partially metabolized and excreted in the urine. When we talk about its adverse effects, so pyrantel pamuate is remarkably free of side effects. Occasionally, it can cause GI symptoms like headache. Dizziness is reported most commonly. Now, piperazine. So the next drug is piperazine. So piperazine is introduced in 1950. It is a highly active drug against Ascaris and Enterobius. It achieves 90 to 100% cure rate. However, because of the availability at the more convenient and better tolerated albendazole and mebendazole, it is now considered a second choice drug. And mode of actions of piperazine include it can cause hyperpolarizations of Ascaris muscles by a GABA agonist action. Opening of the calcium channels cause relaxations and depresses responsiveness to the contractile actions of the acetylcholine. Flaccid paralysis occur and worms are expelled alive from the body. Now, talking about this pharmacokinetics, so a considerable fractions of the oral dose of piperazine is absorbed. It is partially metabolized in the liver and excreted in the urine. Adverse effect included piperazine is safe, but nausea, vomiting, abdominal discomfort and eutrysia may be seen. So, dizziness and excitement occur at high dose. Toxic dose produce convulsions. Death is due to the respiratory failure in some cases. Now, the next is diethyl carbamazine citrate. So, it is developed in 1948. It is the first drug for flaresis that is caused by the nematodes, and mode of actions of diethyl carbamazine is microflaresal. It has a highly sensitive effect on microflora. A dose of 2 mg per kg TDS clears MF of the W. Bancrofty and B. myli for the peripheral blood in 7 days. The most important action of DEC appears to the alterations of organelle membranes of the MF protecting cell death. Now, the pharmacokinetics included of DEC, it is absorbed after oral injections and distributed all over the body. Mebendazole in liver and it well metabolized in the liver and excreted in the urine. Excretion is faster in acidic urine, and the plasma T-half of usual clinical doses 4 to 12 hours. It depends on the urinary pH. Adverse effects included, the side effects are very common but generally not serious, and then nausea, loss of appetite, headache, weakness, dizziness are the usual symptoms. Now, the niclosamide is the drug of choice for most gastroid tapeworm infections, and its actions has been excavated onto the inhibitions of the parasites, mitochondrial phosphorylations of the adenosine triphosphate, which produces usable energy in the form of adenosine triphosphate, and anaerobic metabolism may also be inhibited. Then alcohol should be avoided within 1 day of the niclosamide. So that this is the another drug. Then the next drug is paraxequinital. So, paraxequinital is a trimetodot infections. It is used in trimetod infections that are generally treated by the paraxequinital. So, this drug is an agent of choice for the treatment of all forms of scatosis and other trimetod infections, and for the gastro infections like gastritis. So it primarily permeability of the cell membrane to calcium is increased and cause the constructure and paralysis of the parasite. Then paraxequinital is rapidly absorbed after oral administration and distributed into the cerebral fluid, and it has high level occur in the bile, and the drug is excessively metabolized and resulting in a short half-life, and its common adverse effects include drowsiness, dizziness, malaise, anorexia, as well as gastrointestinal upset. So the drug is not recommended for the pregnant women or nursing mothers, and drug interactions due to increased metabolism has been also reported. Then the paraxequinital is contraindicated for the treatment of ocular cystitis because destructions of the organism. And it can also damage the eye and the other organ. Now the next drug is thiabendazole. So thiabendazole, another systemic benzimidazole. So it is it has effective against strong glycodices, and which is caused by the strangulites and scarolites, that is threadworms, and the cutaneous larva migrants, and early stages of trichinosis, that is caused by the Trachea spirals. So thiabendazole, like the other benzidazoles, it affects in microtubular aggregations. Although nearly insoluble in water, and the drug is rarely absorbed on the oral administration, and it is hydrolyzed in the liver and excreted in the urine. And the adverse effect included vomiting, nausea, anorexia, and dizziness. And there have been reported of the central nervous system symptomatically. And they have a number of latilas among the cases of the erythema multiforme, and the Steve Johnson symptoms also reported that are caused by a thiabendazole. And it is used in it use is contraindicated during pregnancy. Now the quiz questions included from this lecture is, why are antihelminthic drugs difficult to develop? What is the use? What is the use of antihelminthics? What is the function of antihelminthics? Are antihelminthics effective against all the helminthics worm? How fast does albendazole work? When should I take albendazole? What is the largest tapeworm? What are the example of antihelminthics? Who should not take antihelminthics? How are the antihelminthics administered? So these are some common questions. You can easily answer them while going through the lecture. We have covered all the questions answered. So we will go through just quick review what we have what we have read today. Now, we start from the introductions. What is helminthics? So they are also known as worm infections, and which included the parasitic worms. Now, the helminthics is prevented globally by 1/3 of the worm populations. Then we talk about the overview of antihelminthics. Then we see about the type of helminthics, type of pneumatoids, roundworm, then fluke worms and tapeworms. Then we have seen the roundworms, how it looks. Then ascariasis. Then we talk about its life cycle. Then we see the hookworm infections, the life cycle of hookworms. Now the pinworms. So life cycle of pinworms. Then we talk about the whipworms. Then the Flaria. So this is the disease caused by the Flaria, and this is the Flaria worm. Then the life cycle of Flaria. So this is the Trachinidia. And then the raw fish infections. It cause jaundice in the eye and skin, liver. It cause enlargement of the liver. These are some most common symptoms. Then we talk about the antihelminthics. So we have categorized them into the mebendazole, albendazole, and tribendazole. So many others also. So this is the chart for the nematoids, for the trematoids, and the gastroids. Then we talk about the mebendazole. It is introduced in 1972. Then mode of action, it's pharmacokinetic. Then we talk about the albendazole. It is a broad spectrum, and it has broad spectrum and activity. Then we talk about its mode of actions. Then the thiabendazole. So thiabendazole mostly It introduced in 1961 and it is used in GI infections. So these are all the antihelminthic drugs. So the reference for today is Basic and Clinical Pharmacology by Barritram and The Essential of Medical Pharmacology by K.D. Tripathi, 6th edition. Then the Modern Pharmacology with Clinical Applications by Lippincott. Then the Collar Atlas of the Pharmacology, and you can definitely check out these references for the further reference and the further knowledge. So this is all about the anti-helminthics in today's lecture. Thank you for kindly listening to me. Thank you for today's lecture.